Surprise!
Yeah. So we are ready to go to our first piece of news, which is no longer a rumor. It has been confirmed to be true. So our first piece of news comes from Go Nintendo, where they say, rumor, again, no longer rumor, confirmed to be true. Retro Studios working on Star Fox Grand Prix for Nintendo Switch. There has been a few people that have leaked this, not necessarily leaked, but they apparently knew about the game before it happened. So after the initial leak, they were like, yeah, it's true, the full title is Grand Prix. So before it was just a Star Fox racing game, which makes me wonder, like, well, if it's a Star Fox racing game, why wouldn't they just bring back F-Zero? Because I imagine it's going to be similar to that.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah, so Go Nintendo says, this is a rather interesting rumor to say the least. According to Reddit user Daz Vergagabin, don't know how to pronounce that, Retro Studios, who you guys may know from the Metroid Prime trilogy, as the game... Wait, is it Metroid Prime? And then they did Donkey Kong Country.
Yes.
The duology.
Prime trilogy.
Yeah, the Prime trilogy, and then the Country Returns. Denki
Returns.
Expend Dong.
Tropical.
Yeah.
Tropical Freeze.
I keep saying I forgot that was a meme, the Expand Dong thing, and then when I sent Kayla the script and she sent the thing back, she changed the headline to Expand Dong. Because I messed up the headline, and whenever I sent yours for coconut crackers, it was like I had it spelled really weird. Coconut crackers.
Coconut crackers.
Yeah. So, continuing, it says, Retro Studio seems to be working on a Star Fox spin-off that focuses on racing. Star Fox Grand Prix, as the game is called, would be a mix between F-Zero and Diddy Kong Racing. It would include bosses, missions, and even a dedicated hub world. What do you think of this information? Personally, it raises some eyebrows around these parts. Here's the quote of said user in full. What Retro Studios is working on is a spin-off based on an existing Nintendo IP that they haven't worked with before, Star Fox. It is actually a racing game. Something like Diddy Kong Racing mixed with F-Zero essentially, but more like F-Zero gameplay. It will have an adventure, sorry, they had a typo there, an adventure mode of some kind, think Diddy Kong Racing, and there will be some boss fights and a hub world like it too. It is called Star Fox Grand Prix. Now, what I think this is, because I've seen another thing that they don't mention here, is one of the leakers, that I forgot his name, said that this is not a Star Fox spin-off, that it is like a legit Star Fox game. It is just similar to what they did with Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, where they changed the formula. Retro is basically doing that with Star Fox. Apparently Nintendo has been looking to do this with all of their franchises, to sort of modernize them, to change the formula. And the formula for Star Fox has always been you're on rails until you get to like the boss area, and then you can kind of freely fly around for like the dog fights and stuff. But for the most part, it's just like Kid Icarus on the 3DS, it was also on rails. So what they wanted to do is make a Star Fox game that wasn't on rails. So, of course, and you're going to call it like a Star Fox racing game because you're essentially like whatever, like you're flying around. So I can see why people would assume it was like a racing game. And then the title Grand Prix, whether that's the real title or not, that's what the leakers are saying it is. But the main thing here is that they don't want it to be on rails. Similar to, if you guys remember Diddy Kong Racing for the Nintendo 64, it was like Mario Kart, but there was a hub world.
Yeah.
Where you could like choose where you wanted it to go. And that's similar to this. Just think about, obviously Diddy Kong 64 was limited to the power of the Nintendo 64, so you couldn't have this huge expanding overworld. So when they compare it to that game, you may think of like something around the size of like Hyrule Field in Ocarina of Time, to where it's kind of big to run around, but if you're like riding around on a goat cart or an airplane like in Diddy Kong Racing, it's not going to feel that huge. So just imagine taking that and expanding it to the size of a typical game that you can play now. You have a lot more memory to work around with. Like, they went from Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64 to having a world as large as Hyrule and Breath of the Wild. So just imagine the limitations from Diddy Kong 64 being expanded the same way. I don't think it's going to be as large as the world in Breath of the Wild, but you can imagine that they're going to be pretty big for a modern game. And I imagine you won't just be flying around on planets and stuff, you'll be like flying through space and everything. But this is kind of what I've always wanted, because I like the traditional Star Fox games, but taking out the on-rails thing and just letting you go wherever you want to go is really cool. Like, if you're playing Star Fox 64, I don't think you can just turn around, can you?
No, only in like very specific areas where you change into all range mode. Yeah, like other than that, yeah, it's very
like
you're on
you
like
can
a track.
Choose your path, but you're just basically going where it's letting you go. Not as restricted as like Pokemon Snap, where it's literally on rails.
So, that game. The one game I did well as.
Yeah. So, with that said, what do you guys think about this? Because the last thing that I have as my hopes is, and this may be because it was heavily based off of Wind Waker, like reusing the same engine and everything, but Star Fox Adventures for the GameCube, I was a really big fan of it, because it was essentially like, hey, let's take Wind Waker and put Star Fox in there, even though it was originally Dinosaur Planet, which was another canceled game. But yeah, what do you guys think about this? Starting with you, Ilya, since you are our guest.
Well, I vaguely remember Star Fox. I watched my brother's play it, so I can't really say much on this, other than I know how to pronounce that username. It's German.
Oh.
Das Vergebens. It means the forgiveness.
Nice.
Something like that. Actually, it's a word that Zelda used, which I have in German.
Oh, sorry, you cut out there for a second.
Vergebens is a word that Zelda uses in Breath of the Wild, the German translation, and I memorized the German monologue.
A random fact that I want to bring up is, on the 3DS version of Star Fox 64, not only does it have voice chat, but it has video chat. When you're playing multiplayer, you can see, like, above the ship of the people you're playing against, you can see their video feed, if they allow it, and their audio. So the 3DS, like one of the first games that launched on the 3DS, which was a remake of a 64 game, not only had voice chat, but video chat from the 3DS. And then this game is going to come out and be like the successor to the Star Fox 64 3D and Star Fox Zero, but it's not even going to have traditional voice chat, where the one that came before it on an inferior console not only had voice chat, but had video chat. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring up that fact. That was one of the
That would be cool.
one of the
It's
only
so
console
thick.
games. Yeah, literally one of the only console games that has video chat built into it, which is
Tell
really
my brother
cool.
about it, because he knows Star Fox better than I do.
Yeah, I should have
I
invited him
honestly
on.
don't know. Well, he's kind of 7 hours away from here, so.
Oh, yes. All right, so didn't mean to interrupt you, Ilya, but yeah, what are your thoughts on
I don't
this?
really have much input on it. As far as Diddy Kong Racing, like, I'd be interested to try, because I do remember Diddy Kong Racing. Actually, I played it last summer. My mom and I did race, and we utterly sucked at it. I do way better with Mario Kart. I don't know if it was just the N64 Power Drive or something that sucked at. So I can't really put much input on it, because all I really know are Zelda games. I don't know a ton of other games. I know them, but I haven't played them.
Oh, that's fine. Like, a confession for all the people here, even though, well, lately I've been playing a lot of Fortnite, but before that, I would play video games for like maybe 3 hours a week. and then it's usually just Zelda. So aside from Zelda, I've not really played that many games either. Like I played Odyssey and Splatoon and whatever games that I need to like review or whatever, but other than that, I if I'm playing a game, I just feel like I'm kind of wasting my time, that I could be doing something more productive. Like, instead of playing a game, I could make a video about a game. So, because of that, I haven't really played too many games, but I'm always like researching and looking up information about different games. So,
Animal Crossing is my go-to when I have free time.
Oh, you and Kayla would get along. She's dying to have Animal Crossing on Switch.
That would be one reason, be the biggest reason for me to get a Switch.
Honestly. Did you... Oh, so you have a Wii U. Did you play the Wii U Animal Crossing?
There's a Wii U Animal Crossing?
It was like kind of. It was the Amiibo Party, wasn't it?
Was it that one that's like almost like Mario?
Yeah, Mario Party kind of.
Amiibo Festival.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
It was
a
game.
I don't even have Amiibo.
They made it.
I have one Amiibo.
I think they literally made the game and designed it around selling Amiibo.
That's exactly it, and no one bought the animal. Also, which Amiibo is your one Amiibo that you have?
It's on my non-personal Instagram. It's Mabel from Animal Crossing.
Here's my Amiibo.
I want to.
It's too nice to be an Amiibo.
I'm waiting to get like a really, really cheap one to use in Breath of the Wild. Up until this point, I used my Mabel one and I got like food. I was like, that's all I can do with this one because it doesn't. And I thought, oh, I'll get Wolf Link or something. And then I was like, wait, I haven't played Twilight Princess on this, so he would only
get Twilight Princess HD for your Wii U.
I need to, because I got it for the Wii, and I'm selling it because it's motion control, and I'm left-handed.
Oh no, get it for the Wii U. That'll fix everything.
Wait, what is this
version?
Because
Twilight
I got
Princess
the
on the Wii is right-handed only.
I got the Wii one, and it's motion control only, so it's all flipped, and it's right-handed. Naturally, because 90% of people are right-handed, and I'm like, I'm the 10% that's left-handed. Why would you change Canon Link? You're so unloved. He didn't even need to be right-handed in Breath of the Wild.
Honestly, the reasoning is it makes no sense because they're saying, well, the buttons are mapped on the right side, so when you push the right button, then he swings his right hand. And sure, okay.
We did it the other way for years.
But that's the thing, is like no one cared when it was like it was because you just sort of meld with the controller, you know?
See, I think what happened is in Twilight Princess, instead of just switching Link to being right-handed, they reversed the entire map.
Yeah.
So,
which was an easier thing to do.
Whenever they made Skyward Sword, they made it and designed everything to used with the right hand because it was all motion control. And they said they were going to be bringing that back, that they had spent so much time working to get the motion control perfect, and they didn't want to just throw it away when they worked years trying to perfect it.
Yeah.
So after Skyward Sword, they started work on Zelda Wii U, and I think they originally designed the world to be played by someone who's playing as like a right-handed Link. I don't see why that makes a difference. Like, I don't see why they could have just swapped Link's controls from left-handed to right-handed and leave the world the same. It doesn't make too much sense to me.
That's why I actually haven't played Skyward Sword yet, because I heard the motion controls are difficult anyway. Because I'm left-handed, I'm gonna be like, I'm inept. I can't do this.
Yeah.
I want to play it because the story and the music are absolutely gorgeous. So
one of my favorite Zelda songs is when Link is like first meeting Zelda at the beginning of the game. There's the song that plays.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorites. And then the Skyloft music's really good as well.
Oh yeah, I saw Symphony of the Goddesses over like right before Christmas break.
Oh, Daniel and I did too.
It was so good. I went as Goddess Hylia. People took pictures with me. It was hilarious.
Yeah, we got lucky enough to we got to interview the
we did the interview
producer director guy.
The guy who has like a million
Discord
first names.
It's actually me dressed up as that. I had ears and everything.
Yeah,
I mean they're completely fake.
They sent
obviously
6 They sent 6 free tickets. 3 for me for like the Tennessee show, and then 3 for Daniel for the Canada show. So like,
And
if
we
you
didn't use one of them.
yeah, if you were working on the team at the time, you could have got some free tickets as well.
I got a shirt and a poster. Me and my friend just cried, especially when they got to the end and they did a little extra and they did Link's Awakening, which was what she and I were really hoping for, because hearing 8-bit music in full orchestra is amazing. Because it was already really good.
Yeah, I was what was it? I was glad that it wasn't this, because every year that they go on a new tour, they change it up and add in takeout songs. So I was glad that it wasn't the exact same set list from like the 25th anniversary CD that came with Skyward Sword, which was what they originally toured with. So, and then I also found out that they get new, it's not the same band that travels with them. It's a different band for like each place that they go to. And who was it? The composer for the one of the places emailed Daniel and I about working on something. I never really understood what he meant.
Alright, I remember that.
Yeah, not the composer, the conductor. Because he said something like...
The composer is Koji Kondo.
At first,
no, not the composer.
It was odd because at first he made it seem like he wanted to do like an interview thing because he was a fan of the channel. And then he started talking about how the tour was coming to an end and he didn't have anything lined up after that. So I was like, is he asking for a job? I don't understand what he's doing. Does he want to make music for the channel? I don't know.
We wouldn't be able to pay him as much as they do.
Yeah,
That's for damn sure.
I could offer him like maybe $20 if he wanted to make a theme song or something. Yeah. Alright, so back to Star Fox. Sorry guys.
I was about to be like, wait, we're not all...
Yeah.
Slight tangent, that's all.
Daniel, you haven't talked about your thoughts on all of this.
Oh, I love Star Fox. Star Fox 64 is a game that I never tire of.
Did you play the original?
Yeah, I'm bad at it, but I played the original. I played Star Fox 2 on the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. 64, I think, is the peak of the series. But I did enjoy a lot of Star Fox Zero. It didn't hold, like, I think they lost a little bit of the charm that was in 64, but
I think what they did, because I learned earlier, Star Fox Zero began as the Wii Star Fox game, and they canceled it for like 5 years, and then they brought it back for the Wii U. And I think what they did is they had a game that was like halfway done. They had spent who knows how many of hundreds of thousands of dollars working on it, and they were like, instead of just wasting that money, let's just quickly throw this together. And I think that's how Star Fox Zero came.
I wouldn't say that it was bad though. I really liked using like the drone on the gamepad.
Yeah.
But I didn't like that you're forced into the dual screen. Like, I just wanted there to be the option of like a classic control scheme, and that's not usually something I would say. A Skyward Sword defender, of course, but
Miss Click, the ultimate Skyward Sword defender.
She is, but
she'll attack you if you mention something.
she'll fight you. But no, I'm just confused as to the sort of the goal behind making this game, because why not just make F-Zero again? Why not revive? Like, this is Retro's whole thing is reviving dead franchises.
Yeah. Metroid, like, Donkey Kong.
Metroid, Donkey Kong, Contra. Yeah, exactly.
Contra.
So that's. I didn't say Contra. Did I say Contra? Donkey Kong. I think it said Country.
Maybe you cut out and then it just sounded like.
Maybe I'm slurring my words.
All right. So.
So why not F-Zero?
In the Metroid video that we're doing, the 5 canceled games, in it, like, we talk about how they were literally founded. Like, nobody wanted to work on Metroid 64. like everyone kept on saying no because they didn't want to be the developers that screwed up the franchise. So I imagine that's what people, like whenever they go to work on Zelda, like when Grezzo was asked to remake what is looked at as one of the best games of all time.
The pressure's on.
Yeah, they're like, if we screw this up, no one's ever going to buy our game again. So that was basically what all of the developers were like on the Nintendo 64, because they were like, hey, can you make a 3D Metroid game on the Nintendo 64? When 3D games were like very rare, so they didn't have anything to base it off of. And every developer was just like, nope. Even the guy who co-created Metroid said he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to screw it up. So Nintendo went to a company and founded Retro Studios to work on a 3D Metroid game. And we got Metroid Prime, and then we got Donkey Kong Country Returns, Mario Kart 7, Donkey Kong Returns 3D. So that was the 3DS port they worked on. And then they worked on Tropical Freeze, and yeah, so they've literally only worked on like those two franchises, Donkey Kong and Metroid. But they did work on the Mario Kart 7 thing. So maybe they have experience from the kart game that will help them out with this game, since it's also racing. Mario Kart 7 was really good. Did you guys play it?
Yes.
I never did. Oh no. Well, I heard it was good, though. No, Jesse, don't go.
I'm assuming I'm thinking of the right one, the one on the 3DS.
Yeah, that's the one.
I love it because I used to be really good at the Wii one, and then this one actually.
The Wii one is bad. I really don't like it.
How could you never play Mario Kart 7?
I only got a 3DS like a year and a bit ago.
I got my 3DS last summer, so. But that was one of the first things I got.
I bought my 3DS and Wii on the same day, in preparation for Skyward Sword. So.
Well, look at you. I'm not one to judge. I buy too much Nintendo stuff all the time. Yeah. But on 3DS, I was always really...
You have a wall of Amiibo behind you.
Then people are like, I don't like Amiibo. I'm like, give them to me then.
Yeah.
Give them to me for cheap.
Please. So... but yeah, no, that's my thoughts. Is why not F-Zero?
I used to.
We just had a Star Fox game.
Yeah, well, like if they do a good job with this one, and it does like revive the franchise, sort of like what they did. They didn't revive the Zelda franchise or Mario franchise with the like changing the formula, but doing that with Star Fox, making it off rails instead of like following the path, maybe it would be pretty cool. A few years ago, there was the rumors of like a Star Fox Metroid crossover, and I thought that would have been an interesting idea, because they're both like space Nintendo stuff. But with the Amiibo, when you're like, no one cares about the Amiibo or whatever, I used to work at this used video game store, and I remember one customer came in and bought one of the used Amiibo. We just had them like in the counter under the glass or whatever, and he bought one, and it was like $10 or whatever. And then he's like, do you know this is worth $50? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't care. Like, I don't care. I'm not gonna buy it for $50, so good luck with that.
It's like, are you telling me you want
Walmart for $7?
Yeah.
Wow. If someone says that, you should say, are you telling me you want to give me $50?
Yeah, it's like, so are you willing?
I will take it.
Are you willing to pay that $50? Because you haven't got the receipt yet, so technically. But yeah, I think. Do you guys have any final thoughts on this before we move on to the next piece of news?
Yeah, well,
we need to kind of.
I have faith in Retro Studios. They've proven themselves time and time again.
They have never made a bad game.
Baffles me. No, they haven't. So even though I'm confused about it, I'm gonna reserve my judgment, I guess, because I do have faith in them.
Yeah.
So
they've
that's my.
Never made a bad game, which is interesting. Like, I think the closest would have been. I think people didn't like or like they were controversial with Metroid Prime 3, and then Donkey Kong Country.
There were some moments.
Tropical Freeze was only looked at negatively because the levels were hard.
That's never a good reason in my head to dislike a game. Oh, it's too hard. It's like if it's hard to the point where it's like legitimately unfair, okay, but Donkey Kong is not that. It's very challenging, it's very precise platforming, but that's good. You could push yourself, you know? That's
And this one, its returns is easier than the original because instead of just getting hit once or whatever, you get the hearts. So they let you get hit 3 times instead of just...
you can buy a bonus heart.
Yeah.
So you can have up to 3 hits per Kong.
And it used to be like a 1-hit kill. So you'd have to go through the entire level without getting hit. So, anyways, Daniel, take us to our next story you can pick. Ilya, you'll be picking the next story as well. So like after Daniel, so you'll be reading it, if that's okay with you. Let's see.
I can do that.
Alright, come on, Daniel.
There's like 4 open.
Yeah. Do you know which one you want?
Me? I have no idea. I just need to pick one that I know.
You look like you were vigorously rubbing a cat. Because your arm was just like you were scratching a cat or a dog's belly or something.
Oh, I wish. I'll see my cats tomorrow. One of which is named Navi.
Oh,
because she doesn't shut up. Not even kidding, she meows all the time.
Did the batteries die in your mouse? Okay.
What? Me?
No, Daniel.
What am I clicking on? What am I doing?
So while he's doing that, do you want to pick your new story, Ilya, and then we can do Daniel next?
Okay.
So all you have to do is just
I have 4
name
open
off. Yeah, just name off whatever the news, the head.
I got it.
Oh, okay. Daniel's coming.
I had hit mute and then I couldn't unmute because the died in my mouth.
So when you do the news story, you have to say whatever the news is, so like the headline, and then name off the website that it comes from to give credit to whoever wrote the story, and then you read whatever the main part of the article is. So, like, there's sometimes there's been people that didn't really know what to do, so they just
I've watched enough of these.
Yeah.
I don't know which one I want to do after Daniel.
Okay,
it's
I'm
really
ready
cool.
to go here. So.
See, it's really cool to have you on because, like, I get excited when people like you are on. Like, so there's you, Holly, Miss Click, and Axel. I think are the only people.
I'm a real person.
Well, like they come on, and they actually watch it. Like, you'll see them in the comments on some of the videos, so they actually know what's going on whenever they're on the podcast. And then there's some people that have been on that don't really know what to do. So it gets, I won't say annoying because it's not really their fault. Yeah, awkward. So there's been a couple of awkward guests. Yeah, anyways.
Like I said, I've watched a lot of them.
Yeah.
And even if I had never watched any of them, I probably purposely watched a bunch of them.
Yeah, like I went on the
I'm organized like that.
Nintendo Talk podcast last week. And I've watched, like, I'd come across one of their podcasts before and I clicked on it, watched like 5 minutes and clicked off. But I never, like, listened to every single one. So whenever they invited me on, I, like, listened to a bunch of it to understand how it went, so it wouldn't be weird when I was on there. Like calling someone by the wrong name or something, which is why I hate usernames.
Oh.
Like,
I do the same thing when we have guests, though. I go and stalk their YouTube channel.
Yeah, like whenever we have, like originally McIntyre, he at first didn't want people to know his real name. So you had to call him McIntyre, and then there was one time that I accidentally called him Andy, and he was like, no. But it's all good now. Now McIntyre's Jack, which is weird. And then there's OG McIntyre, the original voiceover.
Old
and then
Macaroo.
he gave his YouTube channel because he was leaving the Zelda community. So he gave his YouTube channel to Jack, who we call New McIntyre. And then there was Connor.
Mac.
Yeah, and then there was Connor, who Averith and a few other people called Discount McIntyre. And I'm like, technically, Discount McIntyre costed more to voice a video than the other McIntyres. So, it's like the opposite of discount. Alright.
Yes. Anyways, I do
Take
have
us off, Daniel.
here, so.
King Bergerson.